Hey guys, this is Kristen with Mermaid Wax. I'm going to go over why you should wax in the winter. Now before I dive in, if any of y'all have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to comment down below, like, subscribe. I always love connecting and chatting with all of you. So never hesitate to reach out if you have a question or a video you want me to go over. I would be happy to do so. So, okay, why should you wax in the winter? Listen, I totally get it. You're wearing more clothes in the winter because it's cold outside. Like my salon right now is freezing because we are in like the height of the winter months. So it doesn't seem really important to keep up with your waxing schedule in the winter. However, there are so many reasons why it is important to stick with it. Or if you haven't started waxing yet, this is a perfect time to start, and I'm going to explain. So, okay, first thing, if you've been waxing, say you've been waxing for half a year, winter comes and you stop. Whenever you wax, if you stop and then start shaving, you're gonna mess up your hair growth cycle. It takes a couple of cycles to get your hair growth in the same sync. Like whenever you first start waxing, you might, like most of the hair might come out, but because you had been shaving, it's not going to be all in the same cycle. So some new hairs might come up like a week after you had your last appointment. But after a couple of waxes, it all gets connected and all the hairs will come out at once. So if you start going back and shaving again, you're going to ruin all of that progress that you did and all the money that you spent getting your hair growth cycle in the same. That way you can be smooth for a long time before your next appointment. So it's obviously not a deal breaker, but it is going to be annoying whenever you do get back into waxing, having to then go through the same thing again of getting your hair growth cycles all in sync. Second, so with waxing, you are pulling the hair out from the root. This means a brand new baby hair is going to replace it. We also kill off a lot of those hairs. So normally I always find my clients have about 50% growth come back compared to their first appointment. And that continues. So if you stop and start shaving, you're gonna have to deal with those prickly, thick hairs again, compared to when you're waxing, where it's a nice, soft baby hair and you have less to wax out each time because you're killing off those hair follicles. That alone is definitely more of a deal breaker, is having to start all over on day one and having to deal with like the razor burn that you experience. I myself get really bad razor burn, but then having to deal with the prickly hairs that come back because you're not pulling it from the root, you're just cutting it off at the surface. Definitely not fun at all. Now the next thing, third. So there's a lot of holidays in the winter months. October, let's see, there's Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Valentine's. So I know all of you want to look the best you can when getting together with family and friends. And some of these people are people you might not have seen since the last holiday. So even more so, there's gonna be a more chance of like Christmas parties or cocktail parties, or maybe like a hot tub party because it's cold outside and you can't swim, but you can jump in a hot tub. So if you are keeping up with your waxing schedule, no matter what is thrown at you, you will be ready. Otherwise, if you randomly have a party come up and you haven't had your brows waxed in 2 months, and then all of a sudden you're like, crap, now I have to either tweeze and possibly ruin my brows or mess up what my waxer did, or rush to get an appointment real fast, which is, you never know if that's gonna work out or not. So if you keep up with it, it's just one less stress in your life to deal with. So again, it's always better to be prepared and ready for whatever life may throw at you. This is also, winter is a great time to add a new waxing service. So I've had clients who do their eyebrows and then they want to start doing their Brazilian, but you have to let the hair grow out, obviously, at least 3 weeks in order to rip it out. And so they're like, well, I can't go 3 weeks and not shave. I'm gonna be in a bikini all summer. Okay, no big deal, I got you. let's start in the winter. You're probably not going to be in a bikini unless you go to one of those hot tub parties I was just talking to you about. But you're going to be more covered up in general. So it's not that big of a deal to wait 3-4 weeks in order to start your waxing, because then once you start your waxing, it gets easier, the hair gets thinner. We all know what happens. So if you start in the winter, that solves a lot of your problems. Same thing with legs. I've had so many clients who get their Brazilian done, they want to add on legs, but the same thing, you don't really want to let your leg hair grow out in summer or in spring. So instead, we'll wait and we'll start in the winter. Then by the time summer rolls around, they're perfect. So it's a really, really good time to think about adding on services or starting a service. Maybe you've never waxed anything. Always start in the winter. Now keep in mind, I always recommend my clients waxing every 3 to 6 weeks. So most of my clients will come every like 3 to 4 weeks, but in the winter, maybe you don't want to come as often, and that's fine. We can also push it back a little bit. So instead of every 3 to 4, maybe you can do every 5 to 6. That way, at least you're keeping up with your waxing appointments and you're keeping everything in the same cycle and in sync, keeping your progress going, but you can still push it back a bit so it's not as often. That's another great option for people who are thinking about stopping. Maybe just delay it a little bit. So I hope this helps. Any questions, let me know. I'll see you next time. Bye guys.